So if we add that all up, that comes to around, absolutely not, I don't see any way that you're gonna be paying less than that. This, what we're talking about now, is minimum. So you want to know how much it costs to own a BMW M4 F82? Well, you came to the right place. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about. We're going to get right to it. We ain't got a lot to go over, but it's not a one price fits all type of thing. It is going to range depending on where you live, because gas prices are different depending on how much you drive the car. There's only a few things to go over since we're talking about just the monthly amount that you pay. I will be making more videos. You know, I've had the car for about 7 months, so I'm going to do like 6 months of ownership, how much I've spent so far, and then once we get to a year, I'll do that, and so on and so forth. But as far as monthly, you're only paying for a few things. That's going to be your payment, that's going to be insurance, which also ranges, and it's going to be gas. I guess we could work in, you know, washing the car as well if you don't wash it yourself. But generally, those are going to be the main things that you're going to pay for on a monthly basis in any vehicle. So let's start with gas. So gas ranges. I live in California and gas is pretty expensive, and you're not really going to find anything cheaper than in the mid fives, especially, you know, you're getting premium in this car. I like to go to Shell. So you're going to be paying anywhere from mid fives to $6, some places even more than that. So a lot of people like to ask, you know, how much does it cost to fill up the tank? Really, it doesn't really matter how much it costs to fill up the tank as much as it matters how long that tank lasts you. This car, it would cost me anywhere from, I don't know, $60 to $70 to fill up the tank. And the tank usually lasts me, I would say, about a week or so, depending on how much I drive. Sometimes I could fill up twice in 1 week. So if we're judging based on that, $60 to $70 to fill up the tank, and it lasts about once to twice a week. If we average it out, let's just say $100 a week. That's $400 a month. So right off the bat, boom, you're paying $400. That's a car payment for some people, you know? That's a literal car payment for some people. So definitely not cheap, and it could be less than that sometimes, but like I said, it could be more than that sometimes as well. So now insurance, this is also gonna range. It depends on your driving history. It depends how old you are, how long you've been driving for. There's a lot of different factors. For me, I could tell you I pay $200 a month. My driving record is like, you know, I have some stuff in the past, but recently, in recent times, my driving record's clean. I've been driving since I was 16 years old. You know, I've been driving for a long time now. So $200 a month for the insurance, $400 a month for the gas. That brings us to the payment. Now this is gonna range a lot as well. Some people might have traded a vehicle in to get this car. Some people may have put some money down to get this car. Me personally, I don't put money down. If I go to purchase a vehicle, and granted I've only purchased 3 vehicles, sorry. This would be my 3rd. And the first one I did put money down, but the last 2 I don't put money down on cars. Opinions can vary on that. Most people would say you should put 20% down, 10% down. They say you should put a good amount down to lower your payment. But me, when I get into cars, I never really know for sure how long I'm going to have them. So to me, it really makes no sense to put a large amount down. You know, yes, they say, you know, it takes the depreciation right away, but you still paid that money. So I would rather just pay the monthly payment. Yes, it's going to be a little higher, but really, you know, you have to put a good amount down to drastically affect the amount that you're going to be paying per month. If you're just putting $1,000 or a couple thousand down, it's not going to change the monthly payment too much. And yes, you have to account for interest when you don't put that initial money down. But as I said, my first car I paid off, it was a little over 2 years, around 3 years. years, so I didn't pay much interest on that. My second car I got rid of before the 2-year anniversary, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, so didn't pay much interest on that. And this car, we'll see. I'm already thinking, like, I'm already getting the itch to get a G80. So the way I am, like, I'm not attached to these vehicles in any way, so I could get something, and you know, if I lose feelings for it, you know, I might get something new, or I might sell it and get something different shortly after. So I don't like to put a lot of money down, so I didn't put any money down on this car, and my car payment is $950 a month.
What?
Now that's pretty freaking expensive. I would not advise you to take on a $950 a month car payment at all, unless you're like pretty well off in life. So if you're a younger person watching this, because most people will know, you know, it's common, I mean, I don't want to say it's common sense, because a lot of people like tend to pick up large car payments, and you know, it just depends. Like, if you want to have fun and stuff, I don't know, I wouldn't recommend taking on a large car payment unless you're well off in life. For me personally, I do YouTube, so this is more of an investment for me. Yes, of course I enjoy it, but the money I get from YouTube, you know, more than pays for the car. And of course it's a tax write-off and things of that nature. So for me, it's a business thing, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you're like really well off, then that's a different story. Do what you want. But that's pretty much everything you pay per month. For me, the payment is $950, $200 for insurance, and about $100 a week in gas. So if we add that all up, that comes to around $1,550. Being that it can range, I would say that could be anywhere from $1,200 to $1,600, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But unless you put a huge down payment on an M4, or you get a super old one with a lot of miles on it, you're not going to be paying less than $1,000 a month on this car. Absolutely not. I don't see any way that you're going to be paying less than that, unless you like never drive it. You got an old M4 with a lot of miles on it, you know, like I don't see any way that you're going to be paying less than $1,000, like even less than $1,200. You're gonna be paying $1,000 plus for this car per month for sure. So it's definitely not a cheap car to own. For a lot of people, you know, the total cost of this is their rent. You know, I mean, $1,500 is kind of cheap rent nowadays. You know, that's kind of hard to find. You can't even get a studio in California for $1,500. It's like $2,000 plus. But still, you know, $1,500 is a good amount of money to be paying per month for a car. And of course, as time goes on, you have to take into account tires, you know, all the maintenance. You got to take into account oil, you got to take into account anything that goes wrong, air filters, brakes, rotors, you know, you got to take into account all the other stuff you're gonna have to be paying for. So this, what we're talking about now, is minimum. That's just the things that you have to pay every single month. But then when brakes come around, and of course you don't have to change brakes all the time, but that's not a cheap thing, you know, especially in these cars. Brakes are pretty expensive. Tires are expensive in this car. You know, we'll get into that more in a separate video when I talk about how much I've paid so far for this car in 6 months. But tires aren't cheap in this car. Oil changes, you know, you could do that yourself, but still, it all adds up. So just some stuff to keep in mind.